You ever notice how you make the same mistakes over and over? Or how your friend always falls into the same patterns in relationships? Or why you keep saying yes to things you don't actually want to do? Most of us think we're pretty logical creatures making conscious decisions every day. But the truth is, a huge part of what we do is happening below the surface, driven by psychology we don't even realize is there. Today we're looking at 5 books that pull back the curtain on why humans do what we do. These aren't dense textbooks. These are actual readable, eye-opening books that change how you see yourself and everyone around you. Let's start with number 5, Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. If you've heard about cognitive biases, behavioral economics, or why we make seemingly irrational decisions, this book is probably where you heard about it. Kahneman is a Nobel Prize winner in economics, and this book breaks down how your mind actually works. Here's the core idea. You have 2 systems of thinking. System 1 is fast, automatic, and emotional. It's what makes you jump when you see a shadow. System 2 is slow, deliberate, and logical. It's what you use when you're solving a math problem or making a big decision. The thing is, System 1 runs most of your life. It makes snap judgments based on limited information, and it's almost always trying to save energy. The book walks through dozens of mental shortcuts or heuristics that your brain uses to make decisions quickly. Availability bias means you overweight recent or dramatic examples. Anchoring means the first number you hear sticks with you and influences everything else you estimate. Loss aversion means losing $100 feels worse than gaining $100 feels good. This book is essential for anyone who wants to understand why they buy things they don't need, why they stick with bad investments too long, or why they're so confident about things they actually know very little about. Read this if you're interested in economics, decision-making, or just how your own brain is working against you. Number 4 is Influence by Robert Cialdini. This is one of the most practical psychology books ever written because Cialdini actually teaches you the mechanics of persuasion. He spent years studying salespeople, recruiters, and con artists to figure out the patterns they use to get people to say yes. The book identifies 6 principles of influence. Reciprocity, people feel obligated to return favors. That's why free samples work so well. Commitment and consistency. Once you've said yes to something small, you're likely to say yes to something bigger. Cialdini calls this the foot in the door. Social proof. People look to what others are doing to decide what to do themselves. That's why testimonials and laugh tracks exist. Authority. People trust experts and follow authority figures. That's why doctors wear white coats in ads. Liking. People say yes to people they like. Scarcity. People want things more when they think they're running out. This book is brilliant because it's not just about understanding manipulation. It's about recognizing when it's happening to you and learning to use these principles ethically. If you work in sales, marketing, management, or even if you just want to be harder to manipulate, this is essential. Number 3 is Atomic Habits by James Clear. This book is about how small changes compound into massive results, but it's really a book about how behavior actually works. Most people think motivation leads to action. Clear argues the opposite. Action leads to motivation. The insight is that habits are not about willpower or discipline. They're about systems and small, repeatable actions. He introduces the concept of habit stacking, where you attach a new habit to an existing one. You want to meditate? Meditate right after you pour your coffee. Tiny friction reductions matter. If you want to eat healthier, put the healthy snacks at eye level. Bigger friction for junk food. The core concept is something called identity-based habits. Don't just say, I want to lose weight. Say, I am a healthy person, and make decisions from that identity. This isn't self-help fluff. Claire backs everything up with behavioral science research. The book is shorter and more practical than some of the others on this list, which is why people actually finish it and apply what they learn. Read this if you've ever struggled to build a habit, break a bad pattern, or stay consistent with anything. Number 2 is Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. This is different from the other books because it's not a how-to or a study of psychological principles. It's a reflection on meaning and resilience during one of the darkest periods of human history. Frankl was a psychiatrist who survived the Holocaust, and the slim book shares both his experiences and his psychological framework. He argues that meaning is the primary human motivation, not pleasure, not power, not even survival. Meaning. He witnessed that the people most likely to survive in the camps weren't the strongest or the healthiest. They were the ones who felt they had something to live for. Someone waiting for them on the outside, a book they wanted to finish writing, a child to raise. The book outlines his theory called logotherapy, the idea that we can survive almost anything if we have a why. This isn't about toxic positivity or fake gratitude. It's about recognizing that even in suffering, we have the freedom to choose our response, our attitude. Frankl believed that freedom and responsibility are inseparable. Read this if you're going through something hard, if you feel stuck or lost, or if you want to understand resilience at a deeper level. And, number 1, the book that ties everything together, Thinking in Systems by Donella Meadows. This one is harder to describe because it's not about psychology in the traditional sense, but it's about how everything, including human behavior, is a system. Meadows teaches you to see the world as interconnected feedback loops, stocks and flows, delays, and leverage points. The breakthrough here is understanding that individual behavior doesn't happen in a vacuum. We're all responding to incentives, information, and structures that we often don't even notice. She gives a simple example. A bathtub is a system. Water flows in, water flows out. If you want more water, you can turn up the faucet or clog the drain. But the system only cares about the net flow. Meadows argues that most policy failures and personal failures happen because we're trying to change the outcome without changing the system that produces it. You can't think your way into different behavior if you're inside a system that's pushing you toward that behavior. This book sounds abstract, but once you start thinking in systems, you see why you keep repeating patterns, why organizations stay broken, and why willpower alone fails. Read this if you want to understand the deeper structures that shape behavior, or if you're interested in why changing one small thing sometimes has massive ripple effects. Here's the thread running through all 5 of these books. Humans are not always rational actors making conscious decisions. We're creatures shaped by systems, biases, incentives, and patterns we rarely notice. Kahneman shows you the biases. Cialdini shows you how people exploit them. Clear shows you how to work with human nature instead of against it. Frankl shows you how meaning overrides everything else. And Meadows shows you the structures that shape it all. If you pick up even one of these books, you'll start questioning why you do what you do. You'll catch yourself in moments of decision and wonder what system you're responding to. That's the real benefit. Not getting smarter, but getting more aware. Which of these sounds most interesting to you? Links to all 5 books are in the description. Let me know which one you pick up